Welcome to another episode of Top Lines and Tails, your weekly livestock podcast. And as always, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Harbro, for their continued support. On Top Lines and Tails, my guest this week, Ali Jackson, needs very little introduction. He's already starred on an earlier episode. For those of you listening, episode number 37 a couple of years ago now. And go back there and have a listen if you can find it. And Ali's parents, Susan and Alan, both still out there. Your mum started in show jumping, and Alan's always been there at the forefront of the cattle and sheep business, and younger brother Cammy too as well. You guys never far away from the top. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Andy.
And also on the call there, I've got Jordan Aitken from Harbro, and Jordan, you cover the Dumfries and Galloway area. Well, tell us a little bit more about where you cover.
So the main area is Dumfries and Galloway, yeah, and we cover about into Cumbria, probably as down as far as Penrith, and up to Thornhill. So it's a fair area, yeah.
And a good stock area, of course. And you'll be going on farms every day and seeing a lot of stock and a lot of farmers.
See a lot of good farms, see a lot of good stock, see a lot of good farmers. Uh-huh. A good stock area, completely different. Yeah, it was a real eye opener when I started working in the southwest.
Okay.
But no, fantastic area, yeah.
Well done. And you said you're out there putting the miles in at the moment. I know we've just caught you on your way home, so appreciate you taking your time to drop in. And Ali, just go back to you. As I said, the podcast has been covered already with a lot of the things that you've done, but you started very young with sheep. I think Blue-Faced Leicesters maybe in the young handlers, and your father started with Beltex quite early on as well, and he's big time in the cattle job too. So you've been at this game a while now.
Yeah, it was fortunate. You know, we had Blue-Faced Leicesters up in Fife, and that was our main breed to show at the time. So that was the breed I started with. Really, as I would say, they're a very easy breed to start with young handlers. So it was quite an easy one. But yeah, cattle were later in life. Really, you know, they weren't until when I was 15, 16. We always had cattle in Fife, but never showed them really. But it started with the British Blues. I think it was 15 when I did a work experience at Andy Ryder. So.
Okay, and I mentioned your father because he's in there very much amongst the cattle now in the short-horn breed. Runs a lot of cattle out there. Alan, if you're listening, I'm gunning for you. You're coming on this podcast one of the days, and I don't know whether Alan's a Harbro customer or not, but I'm sure Jordan's got his eye on him as well, or somebody will to pull him into the folder. And it's not common knowledge that you actually started with a few Jacobs, you said as well. So you earned your spurs in stock judging. I think Ali in Fife, and then Lanarkshire, and then, as you said, self-employed, started helping a few breeders. And I believe you worked with James Whitefoot for a while. There's a good name that out there in the commercial world. There's some good grounding you'd have got there.
Yeah, I was there when I kind of came back from travelling, really, from kind of New Zealand and Australia. I went self-employed also, and then James Whiteford was looking for help at the time, and yeah, to be honest, learned a lot there. He's one of the top commercial top breeders in the country now, and very good system. I try and still visit as much as I can, and every time I go there, there's another new shed kind of thing, and he just keeps building and pushing forward. And fair play to him, he's doing some job of it. Really.
And a great, as you said, produced some great commercial tops there as well. And again, one of your customers, I think, there, Jordan.
Yeah, another one of my customers. Again, just really follow what Ali said, and I think if you're ever looking for a place to go and visit to really inspire you, James Whiteford's would be near the top of the list for me anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Certainly, as I said, top selling season just now there, James. I hope it's going well. And Ali, since those younger days, phenomenal success that you've had that I mentioned in a number of breeds, obviously in the cattle, but a number of breeds of sheep as well, and a hard man to beat. But you started for Kevin Watrous purely by chance, I think, at Solway View there, going back a good while now.
Yeah, it was when I was at James's, to be honest, as well, and we were maybe kind of getting into the quiet stage after lambing at James's, and but through Andy Ryder, because I knew Andy very well. Okay. And Kevin and Andy are really good friends, so it was through that. So that was the March, 2009. Kev asked me if I could come and just give him a couple of days, really a week or a day a week, and then when even 2009 Kev went to the Yorkshire show, and I stayed at home and calved embryos or whatever for the first time, and it just got more and more, and I enjoyed it more and more. And then he approached me, asked if I wanted to go full time with him, and the 1st of September I started full time with Kevin. So.
Phenomenal man, great businessman as well, as folks will know there, and be a good herd of cattle when you went there. I mean, you're not taking the credit for Kevin's herd of cattle, I don't think, to start with, but certainly been there a long time and kicking into the Highland Show. And how many Highland Show champions would there be now at the Solway View? Be quite a few.
Oh, I'm sure Kevin's got about 10, and I got one this year. So there's 11 with the cattle, and we've had a couple with the sheep as well. So like you said, the main bloodlines, the two female lines that have done really well out were both there when I came. So it's just putting the pieces together and playing about with bulls, and we've just been fortunate enough that they're very consistent, and some of the best consistent cows in the breed, really. So.
Yeah. You said some of the best cows in the breed, and literally, a couple of families not running out buying things, just keeping those families together. And of course, Kevin's a great guy as well. Chips in for the kiss parties, looks after you guys well there with a few kegs of more than a few kegs of beer that I've shared with you as well at every show, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we go to these shows and we go to show as well. But end of the day, it's a bit of a holiday for us all, and we like to enjoy ourselves, and we're known to have the kegs on, but it's always nice to have a beer close to hand after you've just showed some cattle or even before.
And those that don't know, I haven't been long to witness that. Of course, your kegs are inside of a wheelie bin with a hand pull pump on the top. It's quite elaborate setup that you've got going on there. And I think this time you've got an entire kitchen. I think at the Welsh you brought your entire kitchen with you cooking the food as well.
Yeah, well, it's just, to be honest, we're fortunate enough to get Party Corner back at the Welsh. We've not had it there for a few years, but there's been a lot of good times in that corner. It's just everyone knows it's there, and it just ends up kind of party central, at these shows, and it's good fun.
Yeah.
It's everyone's welcome, if you know what I mean. We take as much drink as we can, and we just enjoy ourselves. It's what it's all about, isn't it?
I seem to remember that it is what it's all about. You remember, I think your father took an entire trailer load down with all just with the gear and the kitchen and all the booze in there as well, and took it probably.
I think there was an extra trailer for his flowers, to be honest. He takes the blooming garden centre with him.
He does. And Jordan, I don't think Kevin's one of your customers, not yet anyway, but on the cattle side of it. But Ali, the herd's been based on a lot of ET work, and let's just go into the feeding side of it a little bit. I mean, how does the feeding regime change for when you're feeding recipients and that from day to day, change from, I suppose, a show bull? Are we talking, a different type of feeding? It's a science, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, because we've been at it that long, Andy, I mean, it's no different to the sheep and the cattle. We try and keep the protein low, but we don't necessarily change the diet much. I mean, we've used a lot of different feeds. We've made our own feeds, and I'll be honest, that if you can keep the diet the same and maintain it and keep them on a rising plane, we've found that's the best, and especially with our recips for hold rate. You need to keep the energy into them, obviously, but there's a lot of feeds out there, a lot of fancy flush feeds, but I mean, necessarily they don't all work. And I mean, the flushing game, put it this way, that a family can flush very well and it can pass that on. And one family, I've got a family kind of sheep especially, there'll only be a 3 or 4 number of eggs, and that is generally what they pass down. Where there's other families will be consistently 10 eggs. Now that's just the way they're bred, and it is science. Yeah, I mean, you can give them as much as you want, but if they're not a good flushing family, generally they won't flush that well. And we're fortunate enough with 2 flush cattle lines and a blues, and one family does actually flush better than the other. They could be a consistent 10 egg family, where the other family could be 6 eggs each time.
Okay.
And that's it does pass down on generation to generation. But yeah, nutrition's a big thing. We use a lot of minerals, and that you have to keep the protein down because high protein can kill off embryos.
Okay.
That is proven. So yeah, we just go for a high energy kind of feed, really.
Okay, that's interesting. It wasn't something I'd really recognised, that the number of eggs flushing passes down the generations. So there's news to me. Every day's a school day should be, and the cattle outside buckets and keeping the mineral levels up as well.
No, I wouldn't say so much buckets. We don't really use a lot of buckets on the cattle. We're predominantly actually boluses twice. We've done it for a long time, and actually, to be fair, I did it before I came. We've never changed away from it. Don't get me wrong, we're using high mag buckets at the time, when the grass is lush. to a certain extent that, like, to now, when I'm moving cows onto kind of silage aftermath, I will need to have buckets in front of them. The sheep certainly, we're using buckets more so. I don't bolus the sheep, but more so mineral and energy buckets.
Let's just talk a wee bit about the success there at Solway View. As I said, you've been on the podcast before, but I mean, Solway View, Odin, I think 2018, I'd be right in saying he broke a breed record, and it was always a good bull there to that firecracker line.
That was 2021, that was, Andy. Okay. And it was close. It was 27,000 actually, and the record was 30.
Okay.
There was a bull that day as well at 30,000. But yeah, this year was a pretty special sale, to be honest, breaking the breed record and matching the female record as well. So, yeah.
Phenomenal effort, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know how many cattle he took there, but all with a good tray. But as you said, broke the male record and matched the female record, and cattle went on. And your cattle are in great condition. A lot of people talk about that. Your cattle, they were fit, bang on at the day there, and pushing right up to the limit. Is there a limit about how far you can take these animals when you're feeding them up for show and sale?
Yeah, I mean, certainly British Blues, to be honest, they don't like a lot of protein in their diet because, they're so muscly. And I'll be honest, I don't think we're some of the biggest feeders in the blue cattle. I think we probably could push them harder, especially when they're calves. I mean, we're actually on a kind of a high protein diet on calves, but they generally aren't on ad lib. They have to clean up every day, and that's the way we've always treated them. We need them to grow.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned you won the Highland show yourself with Blues there, with a bull of your own, and beat the Gaffer, which was a pretty special day for you again at the Highland. And tell us a bit more about that, calf.
Yeah, so when me and Hannah got engaged, Kev kind of asked what do I want for a wedding present, or he suggested, do you want the pick of the calves at that time? And I said, yeah, well, it'd be good to get started in blue cattle, because I didn't actually have any blues of my own. I've got some limousines, but I never had any blues. So I picked this young pure black heifer calf, and she was out the Everdine family by Flat Out. And then it kind of turned out that she was going to be full sister to Solway View Odin that was sold for 27,000. So that was after, that. But I lost the waiter, lost her kind of 2 times, 3 times before we actually initially got married. And I only planted 2 calves actually, a kind of gap each, but this was the first bull calf born by Engen, and yeah, I showed him a bit at the calf show last year, and he won his class at 3 shows, and he was always quite a smart bull calf, but then he just kind of came onto his own start of the year really, so I thought I would enter for the Highland and the rest of the shows, and he was fortunate enough to win the Highland and then get male champion at the Yorkshire and the Royal Welsh, so it was, and junior interviewed at the Welsh as well, so yeah, no, he's had a good show career, so hopefully come start of the year, he'll make the money as well. So
you'll have him back to the sales there, and Kevin has some blue Texels as well. We're going to your side of the sheep in a second, but the blue Texels that came in there, a bit of your doing, I think, but done well with those and getting more fleshing, and of course they're fed on the Kelso. He'll be one of your customers there for the Kelso Tup and Lamb pellets there, Jordan.
Yeah, I think so. As far as I'm aware, Ali will probably be able to tell you more what gets it and what doesn't get it. But certainly there's, we've had a good success and like working with Ali on it,
Okay. And Ali, you moved, as you said, onto the sheep side, or back to the sheep side, I suppose, when you went into Beltex, and you pretty soon racked up a 6,000 pound tup fairly early on in that flock, and a ewe called Bubblegum as well, was that right? Was she an imported ewe?
Yeah, Bubblegum will actually kind of be up there with one of my favourites, only because more so, but I took her to Liz Mahago's show, and she got overall champion, and then she went on to the Highland show and got female champion, which, as a ewe lamb was good, and the top lamb that won its class that year from Kingledores, it went overall champion, and then I was actually second and male champion as well, but that was always one that you always remember your first prize at the Highland show, and that was my first prize there, so yeah, she'll always be remembered for that. But,
your tip-top flock there it went on from strength to strength. And how many Beltex are you running these days?
There's only about kind of 20 ewes, to be honest, Andy. Not so many. Just the other breeds, they've kind of taken over a bit. So just kind of pushing on with them. It's just nice to have a few varieties of breeds when one breed's doing well, you know, or another breed's not doing so well, you can fall back another. So it's just good for income as well.
You certainly do have a number of breeds, and we'll go into a couple more in a second. But I think you won the individual Supreme Interbreed. Would I be right at the Royal Welsh? Have you won that with the Beltex or close to?
I've won the group of threes at the Royal Welsh. That was my first interbreed win in 2015 or 16, I think it was. Yeah. So that was a good day as well, and that's probably one of the highlights of the Beltex down here.
Certainly, and we'll go on. I know this year you turned up with a wagon load of sheep there as well, and there's a lot of sheep there. I mean, you're taking coals to Newcastle, but it's a tremendous show of livestock down there, isn't it? And it's always well to do well amongst those guys.
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting, what was an interbreed this year, I think there was like 52 individual breeds in the individual interbreed this year, and it's something to see, especially a group of threes. I think that's one of the best sights to see down there, that many sheep in the ring of that many different breeds. And such a high quality of all them Welsh breeds as well. You never really see them at any other shows, and it's a spectacle. Okay,
you're right, it is. We'll go on to your prowess that you did this year in a minute, but you moved into the Dutch Spotties, and I don't know when you got started with those, but you were successful pretty much right from the get-go, wouldn't you? There'd be a lot of imported sheep, I guess, originally.
Yeah, we started, I think it was 2016, the first two females came in. Not really knowing what I was doing, really. I hadn't really seen them, and I've been to Belgium and Holland before in previous times, and I'd never actually seen them before, but it kind of opened up your eyes that there was a lot more in the over there than you thought. But yeah, we started with two females. One turned out to be Tip Top Hannah, that won the the Yorkshire Interbreed, the first year being there as a ewe, and then she won at the Welsh as well in the breed. So yeah, it was a good start. It was a good start.
And interesting, you say you've been to Belgium and to Holland as well now, and they treat the sheep differently there. They don't feed them. They wouldn't feed them in the way that we'd feed sheep on pedigree sheep on our side.
No, they don't really feed at all. More so that it's just cost them that much to get it. They're mainly, most farms you go to will be grass fed. There's no dressing of the sheep over there, so you basically have to get there early. To be honest, I used to go in the May because that's when they start selling the rams and ewe lambs, and they're a big believer of selling in batches. So they like to sell all the ewe lambs as one batch, and from 2016 we kind of went over most years. I've not been this year, but I was over last year, and try and go over as much as I can just to find them new bloodlines and work out where the best flocks are. And I can now say I know where the best flocks are. So if I go over next year or whatever, I would only go to a select few flocks. Same as the Beltex. That's what we used to do with the Beltex.
Yeah, indeed, been there myself as well. And you mentioned Hannah. You and Hannah been together 10, 12 years now, I think. But meeting of two great breeders, I think, in a big wedding that was delayed a couple of times and eventually went ahead there, Ali. But of course, she runs the Shirley sheep there at Righead, doesn't she? The Sloan family, her mum and dad and grandfather, and a great family you've married into there.
Yeah, no, they are a very family-run business. They've a few farms, and they're not what they used to dairy, but they put that off, so they're now beef cows and a lot of commercial sheep, and then they've got their pedigree Charlies and Warbles. So no pedigree cattle, right enough, but and obviously Hannah keeps Robbie's only sheep at the farm, the Dutch Spotted, so they've got Dutch Spotted now as well.
We'll go into that in a second. And again, Jordan customers are yours, I think, there. And you went to Percy Tate's sale down in the south there, bought a Rouge ewe lamb that's done well for you, and I think you and Will Price kind of got it at cross swords with that one. Well, you bought one a piece, I think, didn't you? But Will helps you out a little bit now. He's an able fella, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's come up and helped me lambing as well, and he's always there to help out at shows. If I need a sheep trimmed or out like that, he's always there. But yeah, no, it was a good sale. Will's a very, very good shepherd in his day, and still is, But to be honest, I didn't even go down to buy anything that day. I just went down with Hannah because she was wanting to go down and see the Charlies. And yeah, I mean, the Rouge sheep, I'd never really studied them before, and yeah, just kind of this ewe lamb caught my eye, and she's done very well.
Yes, yeah, and I think I saw Will dressing one of your Rouge at the would it be at the Welsh show this time? And I think you've had good success with those this year too.
Yeah, no, I asked him if he would just dress the two roos for me, just where everyone else to dress, and it's that hot down there, you don't want to be standing next to a stand too long, so without a beer in the hand anyway. But no, I know he's good at it, and you trust him to make a job of it. So sure. Yeah, no, he's been a good help, and advice as well, in the breed, because I don't really know much about them, so he's been good advice.
Good. And Jordan, how much does supplying somebody like Ali mean to your business? I mean, both locally and nationwide. This guy's a flagship pedigree breeder. They're always in the headlines, but the main of your trade would be the commercial guys. But what does it mean to a company like you to be supplying feed to people of this caliber?
I have to be careful what I say here, Andy, because I don't want to make Ali's head too big. But no, listen, we like to try and deal with people who are, at the top of the game. And Harbro, we've built our foundation on pedigree sheep way before I was here. But I think we try and deal with the best. I think we've got a huge amount of good customers at the top. But no, dealing with Ali and people like that, even to myself, are a huge help, because you can take little bits of their business and try and make other people's business better. Sure. So yeah, from that point of view, it's great, and yeah, you want to be dealing with people like Ali and Hannah and these sorts of guys. Yeah.
And Harbro does have a great track record on that, doesn't he? Feeding champions across the shows, and particularly good show season this year, I think, and sales season coming up as well. And it is those guys you said that fly the flag, but that works its way down to your commercial customer, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Pedigree sheep feed and commercial feed, it all comes as a winner, and you try and make a good job for people and try and give them bits of advice and bits of help, and bits just, it all falls into place after that, really, Andy. Yeah.
And I know, Ali, I think you feed the Harbro Kelso lamb creep pellets as well there. And how important is that early start to get the right feed into those sheep to get them going?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important part of the lambs, I would say, especially to have them the best start for life, giving them the best chance. And yeah, no, it's a very good feed. They eat it well. I wouldn't say they overeat it, which is a good thing for the cost, but they do well on it. And all my lambs were on it this year, especially. So it's it does a good job. It gets them where you want them to get off to the best start, to be honest.
Okay. Jordan there, I know, Harbro kindly sponsor this Top Lines and Tails podcast, of course, and as I say, they offer nutritional advice, don't they? And different feeds maybe for different places, and of course you've got your nutritionalists and analysts, should I say, behind you, like Jill Hunter there, that are moving the product forward and giving the right advice to the right people. It's not just about selling somebody feed and going out the gate, is it?
No, you're exactly right, Andy. Jill, in my opinion, one of the best. What she does, and we're continually trying to move forward and change things and tweak things, and you need people like Jill who are a driving force in the business. But certainly no, you take Jill away as well. We've got a fantastic team. Certainly, if I don't know anything, you can go to another member of the team. Just generally a very, very good team, and a very very helping team. Yeah.
Well, maybe go on to some of the different ones again, but is it one size fits all when we come to different breeds of sheep and different areas? Obviously there's different seasons as well there. Is it pretty much the same stuff, or is it tweaked a little bit to suit certain buyers?
I think we try and keep it as simple as we can, and try and, one size fits all, but, there's different ways of doing it. For breeds, Suffolk's, you have to do a little bit different. For instance, but no, generally one size fits all, and try and keep it as simple as we can for us and also for the farmer.
Sure. Okay. And Ali, you mentioned young Robbie was there in the background just now helping you out with the feeding by the sound of it, and went on this year in his first year and won the Triple Crown, which is a hell of a feat. And you didn't quite get it with the cattle, but you got it with the sheep, didn't you? Tell us a little bit more about the you that won that.
Yeah, it was that we kind of decided we should get Robbie a sheep to start off, so we got him a ewe lamb last year from Matt McCormick over at Newton Stewart, Carlisle last year. Not necessarily to show. She was a good ewe lamb, very correct, but we didn't, buy her to think she's going to win every way or anything like that. It was just something at a time, and I thought we may as well get him something different breeding to what I had originally. So, and yeah, I didn't really see her much through the winter, because she was away with Hannah's ewe lambs, and then she brought her in, and yeah, she ended up turning good, to be honest. She's one of them sheeps that she knows she's a good sheep, and it's hard to beat them like that. But yeah, she's a show sheep, and yeah, he had a very good start to his show life.
Certainly did have a good start, and as a phenomenal success to win the Triple Crown, being the Highland Show, the Yorkshire Show, and the Royal Welsh Show. Those are the three big boys, big shows there, and went on to shake up the interbreeds as well, didn't she?
Yeah, she did well. I mean, she was there interbreed at the Yorkshire and overall interbreed at the Royal Welsh. So I mean, the Dutch spotted breed's been very fortunate that they've been knocking the door at every interbreed since they actually got classes at these shows. And I mean, it's been the push of the breed, and folk have realised, you know, how good they are a breed as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's great to compete with these other continental breeds or native breeds. You know, it's doing some well. And
as you said, the classes haven't been in these shows long, because the sheep haven't been in the country that long, but they've all got classes now, and they're hugely well supported in the spotties and the blue Texas as well, aren't they? They're all vying for that position.
Yeah, the Dutch spotted, certainly at the Royal Welsh this year, they were second biggest breed there, and I think they weren't far behind it, like for the Highland and Yorkshire as well. I mean, it's phenomenal the size of classes they're getting now, and I think we're up to over 800 members now in the space of six years of a society. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a society grow as big in such space of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, our main sales a week on Saturday coming, and we've 600 head at the sale. Wow. You know, it's the biggest sale that I've ever been.
Wow. Wow, incredible. I know you've been instrumental behind that, involved with the society as well as setting that up. And a great start for Robbie, as you said, and he'll go on and do well in the young handlers too, and he'll look good in his new Harbro body warmer there that Jordan's about to send him over.
Yeah, he's short age. He's keen enough, and you can never tell at that age, but it's his choice, I suppose. If he wants to do sheep or cattle, it's up to him. We'll not push it on him.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And talking to breeds of sheep, we mentioned 3 or 4 already, but you've got a few Texels as well, I think, and started with a few good bloodlines. And I see you've got a couple of lambs entered for Lanark in a week or so's time there. How are they looking?
Yeah, no, it's hard to know, you know, what they're like within company, but they're certainly the 2 best lambs I've had. It's just I've been fortunate. I've got a good bloodline now, and just kind of start to push them a wee bit, you know, that way. Just you know, Spotties and Beltex I maybe took over a wee bit for a while, but now, you know, I'm kind of focusing a bit more on them. And yeah, no, they're looking good. Happy enough, but you never know with that Lanark sale. You know, that sale, everyone takes their best there. So
it can be up and down, can't it? And as you said, they all think they're best. And Jordan, of course, you'd feed a lot of Texel sheep, Texel tups going into Lanark there would be coming through Harbro feed bags in front of them, and the sale being next week. And I guess for yourself there, you get a bit of pride out of that when you see the sheep hitting the headlines that you've been in and put the feed through the gate.
You always want your customers to go in and do well, and you know, it's their business at the end of the day, Andy. So it does. It takes a lot of pride, and you know, I'm pretty passionate about the pedigree sheep and cattle job, and no, it's good to see them, and it's nice for customers to get a good trade. Like.
Sure. And you mentioned early on that it's a move for you to be down in Dumfries and Galloway. Are you from a farming background originally? Where was home originally?
So we've always been in the borders, just you know, worked on a farm since I was kind of fairly young, and yeah, growing up and drink got involved, so I kind of taken a little bit of a break. You know, you're working fairly lengthy hours, and took a break and took a different road into agriculture through Harbro, and you know, I do enjoy what I do, make a difference to some good farms, and you know, you're always striving to be better.
Certainly find that all the Harbro people I speak to are absolutely proud to work for Harbro. It's a dream job, really, and you know, a good company, and you know, absolutely 100% faith behind what you sell makes a difference if you've got a product that you know is going to do well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I go back to the team. You know, it starts from the top. David McKenzie would be known by a lot of farmers. You know, it really does start from the top, and it just filters its way down the tree. And I'm pretty near the bottom, but yeah, it's a good team.
Good. And we mentioned, you know, the different areas coming from the borders across to where you are now. I mean, you'll get a lot wetter weather there. I mean, you've had a dry spring this year. Does the feed requirements sort of change year on year? Do you guys look out the window and see the weather and think, well, you know, we need to advise a little bit different way, because not every year is the same?
Absolutely, Andy. You know, it could be snowing at my house, and you got a customer at the Mull of Galloway who doesn't get any snow. So yeah, huge amount. It's always, there's huge amounts of grass through in the southwest. So completely different staying here to walking through there.
Things like copper and that, I suppose, are coming into play again. That varies from area to area. How do you combat your copper problems?
Again, Andy, we try and keep it fairly easy and try and have a kind of general purpose. We try not to get involved in too much specials unless there's a serious problem. Okay. But yeah, no, there's obviously special requirements for some places, but we generally try and keep it fairly simple and fairly effective.
And Ali, when you were on this podcast a couple of years ago, I think it was Kaylee Kennedy that was speaking to you, not myself, and all the different breeds you've got, and you said, and the word Suffolks was mentioned there, and I'd imagine Jordan plucked his ears up there because those Suffolks could eat a lot of food. Did you get a few of those in the finish?
Yeah, no, I did. This was my second year lambing them, Andy, and I more so went the shealing route with Sandy now, bred females, just very, very commercial. But they're born easy and they get up and suckle and they're away. This is the first year I've got shearlings to sell that way, so I have 27 Suffolks for Kelso this year.
Right.
And just dabbling away at the more so the top lamb job as well. I like the breed. I used to have them when I was a wee boy, back in the day when the sale was at Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. So there was always a love for the breed as well. But I just feel that the breed is kind of it's favoured a lot more now. And when you go to these tup sales, you find that there's not a lot of Suffolk tups around in the market, and they're selling very well and for a good price. And even if the quality's maybe not there, they're still making a good price. So every breed has its time, and the Suffolks are certainly having a good time at the minute.
Well, you rightly said at Malky Stewart's dispersal sale, of course, with Sandy now there, a great producer of tups himself over the years there, and a lot of the genetics went to good homes like yourself, and you're carrying on breeding that good commercial type of sheep that folks want, and maybe don't take just as much feed there, Jordan, as perhaps some of these Aberdeenshire sheep maybe took in originally when Harbro were involved in the early days.
Yeah, again, it's horses for courses, Andy. We do a lot with some good Suffolk guys, Jim Cannon at Redbury and James Wallace at Claycrop, and they're always turned out well. And to me, they're good. They're good at what they do.
Yeah, indeed. Well, you need to get a few Rylands in there, Ali. I'll be down at the sale in Ludlow next weekend, picking a few up.
I can't see that happening, Andy, unfortunately. So
I'll send you some up from Rav when we get too many. and Ali, I know you played rugby and you breed dogs and various things, and obviously married now and sort of on the farm down there. What's the future hold for you? Is still a long term at Solway View, or are you sort of moving more into your own stuff now?
No, I love my job. I'm very fortunate, that I've got Kevin as a boss. We're like I said before, and I say to everyone, he's like a best mate rather than as a boss. And we get on very well. We're a good team, and yeah, there's what's the future? I don't know. It's never really crossed my mind, and we're still doing what we do, and we're trying to improve all the time. The herd, end of the day, cattle come first here, and the sheep's a bit of a hobby on the side, or a larger hobby on the side. But yeah, cattle are number one on the farm, and they take priority over any of the sheep. So who knows?
A lot of people listening to this are wondering how you find time to do all that and bring up a child, but maybe it's not you to bring in all the childcare. But as I said, Robbie out there on the farm with you, it's you live a busy life there, and hey, it must be hard just to balance, to juggle all those balls.
Yeah, but it was a change to what we do. Me and Hannah are both very busy. She's busy on her own farms, and I'm busy here, and we're fortunate. The grandparents are all there as well to help out. But yeah, Hannah does the majority of it. And, it's just you just have to get on with it, don't you? You don't want to change too much, but you make time for them, and it's good. It's good.
You certainly do. As I said, I know you could come with a few pedigree dogs there as well, which another. I don't know whether Harbro feed the pedigree dogs or not. You're not in dog food yet, are you, Jordan? No?
No, we've not stretched that far yet, Andy. We're working on it.
You're working on it. Well, gentlemen, as I said, you're both busy, and I know you're still on your way home there, Jordan, so appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. And Ali, wish you well with the sales season. I know it's already started with the Beltex last week, and then, as you said, there's Lanark coming up, and you'll have a lot of sheep to sell in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, there is a lot, and it's a bit of a, next couple of weeks are going to be manic, and then got my brother's wedding, obviously, end of the month, and then we're into Kelso, so, yeah, a month of a lot of work, but yeah, hopefully it's worth it. That's why we do it. The shows are good, but it's a selling point for our stock that needs sales. So the sales are priority.
You need to have a word with that brother of yours getting married all the way out in Tyree in the middle of the sheep sale season. It's just making things a little bit even harder this year. But I wish him all the best anyway.
Yeah. No, I'll be good. I'm sure it'll be good when you're standing on an island with 200 people or something, but no, it'll be fine.
Brilliant. No, well, I know I've spoken to your father. You're all looking forward to going over there, I'm sure. There and Jordan, I hope your Harbro customers continue to do well in the sheep sales coming up the way just now, and obviously that keeps contributing towards your sales. And with customers like Ali, Harbro's in good hands going forward.
Yeah, no, we wish everybody well, and hopefully it's a success, and going forward we can be a bit more excited, and just look forward to what's new.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I'm proud to be associated with Harbro as well, and proud to know you guys too. So it's been superb you speaking to me and taking your time. Thanks very much for being with us on Top Lines and Tails.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Ali. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Top Lines and Tails, your weekly livestock podcast. And it's great to speak to a member of Harbro, of course, who sponsored this podcast, and we're very grateful for that. And as you can hear how Harbro feeds some excellent stock around the country there, why not contact your local representative and see what they can do for you. And maybe this time of year you're thinking about how to boost fertility in your flock this autumn. So Harbro's got that covered as well. So they have offers at the moment available on feed and fertility lick buckets. So there's a great bit of science behind this bucket, and a great story about how nutrition at the point of conception can influence the lambs for the rest of their life, and something which we've mentioned Professor John Robinson introduced to us a long time ago. So get in touch with Harbro and see how they can help you guys take your flock and your herd and your livestock forward there. So we're grateful to that sponsorship, and look them out on the internet as well, or on social media. And while you're on social media, don't forget to join our Top Lines and Tails Facebook community, where you'll find photographs and other information to back up this and previous episodes.